values are normally distributed with a mean of 72 and a standard deviation of 7. Using that information, we are going to fill in the table with values to 1 decimal place. So values to 1 decimal place, z-scores to 2 decimal places, and percentiles to 1 decimal place. Okay, here we go. First one says the value is 75.15, and we need to find the z-score and the percentage. So if you're given the value, the z-score, remember, is value minus the mean over the standard deviation. So we plug in our numbers. 75.15 minus our mean of 72 divided by our standard deviation of 7. So make sure you subtract your numerator first, divide by 7, and we end up with a z-score of 0.45. Now, it says z-score to 2 places, so we are good there. Boom. And now we need a percentile. So percentile, when you're looking at your normal distribution, right, remember the z-score of 0 is in the middle, a z-score of 0.45 is to the right. Percentile basically means the proportion or the probability to the left. So when you look up in your table and you look at 0.45, the area to the left, over here is what we're looking for, is 0.674, and we need that as a percentile, so 67.4%. And I leave it like that because it says 1 decimal place for percentile. The second one, a value of 60.8. Well, again, z-score is the value minus the mean divided by the standard deviation, and I end up with a z-score of negative 1.6. Comes out nicely to 1 decimal, so that's golden. When I look at this, again, my z-score of 0 is in the middle, so a negative 1.6 is to the left. To find the percentile, I look area to the left, 0.055, change that to a percent, and we are at approximately 5.5%. Now, when we get to the next one, it's a little bit different. We are given a z-score. Now, for the z-score to go to the percentile is pretty easy, right? 0 is in the middle, negative 0.35 is over here. So the percentile, we just look at negative 0.35 and change it to a percent, and we are at 36.3% for the percentile. But to get the value, we got to do a little bit more work, because remember, z-score equals value minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. So we have to solve this equation. First step, the equal sign splits it in half, right, equally. So whatever I do to the left, I have to do to the right. And the first thing I want to do is multiply by 7, because when you multiply by 7, they cancel out. It's like multiplying fractions. A 7 in the numerator cancels out a 7 in the denominator, and I'm left with x minus 72 equals 7 times a negative 0.35, right? We are multiplying these two together. I get an answer of negative 2.45. And last step, I need to get x by itself. So the opposite of minus 72 is plus 72. So I have x equals 69.55. Recall that the very thing, it says our values to 1 decimal place. So if I go to 1 decimal place, that 5 tells me to round up. My value would be 69.6. So here's my value, and this one is my percentile. Let's do another z-score. 1.2. Well, now when I look at this, right, 0's in the middle, so 1.2 is over here. I know that my percentile is going to be bigger than 50%, and I am correct. My percentile to 1 decimal place is 88.5, so that's my percentile. Okay, so again, to find the value, we've got to do a little bit more work. Z-score equals value minus mean divided by my standard deviation. Equal sign splits it in half. So, again, I multiply both sides by 7 because it'll cancel out on the left. And I am left with 8.4 equals x minus 72. Well, add 72 to both sides to get rid of the minus 72, right? Minus 72 plus 72 is 0, and I am left with 80.4. It already comes out nicely to 1 decimal, so I'm golden. And let's work backwards from a percentile. Okay, well, if you have a percentile, that means that's the area under the curve. So this is like 0.136 is under the curve. It's less than 5. It's going to be somewhere over here. So we're looking at what has an area of 0.136. Well, when I work backwards in the table, I find that I have a z-score of negative 1.1. I forgot my negative sign. There we go. Because you're going to look in the table under the proportion for the 0.136, which leads us to negative 1.1. And then we're back to solving equations. So z-score equals value minus the mean over the standard deviation. And now we've done this multiple times already. We're going to multiply both sides by 7. So x minus 72 equals a negative 7.7. And I'm going to add 72 to both sides because a negative 72 plus 72 leaves me with just x. And negative 7.7 plus 72 leaves me with 64.3. So my value is 64.3 to 1 decimal place. And the last one, we are given a percentile of 57.9 and 0.579 as a proportion. So when you're looking at your normal curve, that's more than 50%, so it's going to be somewhere over here. So this is our 0.579. You know your z-score is going to be positive. And when you look this up in the table under the proportions, you're going to find a z-score of a positive 0.2. So now I can use the z-score equals value minus the mean over the standard deviation. Equal sign splits it in half. I start by multiplying both sides by 7. X minus 72 equals 1.4. Add 72 to both sides. And x, my value, right, this is my value, is x equals 73.4. Hopefully by the end of that problem, you can find the value given the z-score or the percentile pretty easily. Boom.